All right, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops here. Listen, it's going to be your SITREP. It is Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central Time, coming to you from the great state of Texas. It is September 21st, 2022. Without further ado, let's hop over the board and get this thing cranking. A lot going on right now, and this is going to be a sporty SITREP. I will tell you that straight up. So, without further ado, let's jump in here and see what we've got going on from a let's see. This is going to be Skyglass sitting at around 547 mil aircraft up. Remember, that's not just the United States, that's everything on the planet. But we'll get into the details right now. But we got a lot going on in the world. Of course, you know, we've got the UN up in New York, and those guys are pretty busy. So I say busy. There's a lot of them there. Let's just put it that way. But you got to keep your finger on the pulse because there's just so many moving parts to this. But let's get into real fast the watch list just to show you what's happening down here on the left side of the world, of the U.S. should I say. That's going to be in California. We've got a couple things going on along the border. Nothing really compelling. Got a P8 rolling out of Texas for the most part. Now the E6 there, that's a Tacoma. That's going to be one of your take charge move out. That's talking another one right there. It's two of them up. Those are talking to your ICBMs, etc. Those airborne command centers, right? And then we get over here to the East Coast. Just a lot of Homeland Security seems to be up and about. And notice we got that Q4 up. That's going to be one of your drones. Notice the climb out on that. It's got that little curly Q again. They've got a new technique, I think, in climb outs where they're doing that spin. And then, of course, we've got NOAA, you know, the weather birds. Another Homeland Security there, that B350. And then we got just 757. Oh, wait, that one's going to be one of our spy birds right there. That's a new one, actually, just getting introduced. So we got a Q4 drone and another BE-30 spy bird up over the East Coast. That Q4 launched out of Jacksonville Naval Air Station, by the way. And then, of course, our Mil Intel balloons that are up. Tracking 2 right now. I know there's a lot more than that. We're just not seeing them, okay? All right, we get over to Europe. You can see we've got an R135 just coming back from the Black Sea. It was out there kicking the tires. A lot happening. And then let's see, just a NATO bird, nothing else. There's a little E3 NATO 01 out running some routes. Probably air traffic control more than likely today. That's about it. There is kind of an awkward pause going on. I'll show you. But when it comes to all of this, this is going to be one of those days that it looks a little deceiving, right? You will see we've got a lot of heavy traffic coming in. We'll look at that now. But then it just kind of goes into a kind of a strange lull. And like I said, we'll get into this. But here we go. This is going to be your heavy lifts. Notice we got one that's coming out of XPL Honduras. I haven't been really watching that area much lately because they started loading commercial traffic in. It made it very difficult to see what's going on. You got one that's way up in Alaska. It looked like that was a long haul coming in from Europe. So that was pretty far when it comes down to it. C-17 Globemaster, it's got that capability. I'm sure they put on a little gas. There's one of your intelligence balloons out there off the tip of Alaska there. And then let's get down into the central U.S. A lot of stuff headed to the West Coast right now. And then, of course, East Coast is just getting stupid. You can see a lot of activity there, all the way down into Florida. That Shark 67 is more than likely heading to Guantanamo Bay. It's probably going to be a troop rotation. And then those spikes you see that are going up, that's just a bad data feed. That's all. It happens from time to time. It just causes this kind of weird-looking stuff to shoot up into the sky. But overall, East Coast is kind of popping. Now, remember, these are heavy lifts, C-17s. That's moving cargo and assets around the world. And then here's one headed up into the northern side of the Baltic region, and then one down on the south side. It's a little slower, lighter traffic. You got that one right there over by Tunisia. As we look at that, that's actually the Libyan. That A400 is that Libyan Air Force, and looks like they're taking off coming out of Tunisia, which is interesting as well. And then right, if you notice, a lot more activity over near Israel. A lot of this stuff is going on in and out of Jordan and in and out of Cairo. Now, there's a reason for that. Most of them, even though they could probably land in Israel, the problem is these Muslim nations that they're flying these aircraft into don't they well either frown upon it or they don't like it for anything to come out of Israel going into their state for some reason. So it's almost like a passport. If you've got Israel stamped on your passport and you head into one of these areas, you get scrutinized big time. So anyway, also down here, look at in kind of the Persian Gulf area. Notice we got some activity going on. That's been kind of a continuing effort as we continue to build up in those regions. So okay, let's bug out of that. Let's get over here to the air refuelers, because that kind of tells the story on the fighter aspect of this. As you can see, central U.S., West Coast, kind of coast to coast, spread out. A lot of air refuelers up today. So it just means we were probably going to have a large amount of military aircraft aloft, including fighters, which we never see. But now you get over the New York area. Notice, remember, we've got the UN meeting for their 77th General Assembly or whatever it is. So that's going to kind of, that's probably why we'll see a lot of the fighters up over New York. Okay. All right. Here's your tanker. Only one. It's out over the North Sea that I can find. It's well, there is one more out here, but it's that's kind of it. And remember, we do have some NATO exercises going on, but it is, like I said, it's a little bit of a soft landing in terms of what's happening. Now, that one, pay attention to that one, because the last time we saw an air refueler right up there on that Syrian border, we ended up getting a news report that there was some airstrikes by the U.S. right along that general region. So it is still over Iraq. It's not over Syria, but it's probably feeding fighters that are in that general area. Okay, so we'll keep our eye on that one. All right, let's back away, and then let's get into the meat of this. Like I said, we got a lot to cover today. There is so much going on around the world. All right, so one more spy plane. I'm showing you this via FlightAware because it's already landed, and it's not in my catch when it comes to the watch list, even though if I'd have done it earlier, it would have been. So, but this is one just pay attention to. Remember, Moldova is an area right now that is getting a little bit jiggy. They're getting a lot of Russian buildup in here, and that's why these guys are flying back and forth. Remember, this is a reconnaissance aircraft that is looking at ground elements, okay? And so they are, when they're flying sideways like this, they are grabbing snapshots and intel data that would indicate where all the Russian assets are being set up in the region, okay? And so that's why they do that. Notice it kind of runs parallel to the Ukraine border that runs right along here as well, okay? So another indicator, there's some movement going on there that they are worried about, all right? Okay, now let's get into the meat of some of this other data, and then we're going to just kind of walk across the board. This is actually an interesting data point. This is Zero Hedge coming out. It says, why are Walmart and other major U.S. retailers canceling billions of dollars in orders as summer comes to an end? I will tell you why. The reason for that is because they've got a ton of orders on the books headed into the end of the year that are not going to arrive by the end of the year, and they already know that, so they're canceling these orders. I will guarantee that's exactly what's going on. It's because, as we always talk about, there's that footprint of stuff that just is not happening from a supply chain perspective. So they probably placed these orders in Q1 and have been waiting. And of course, we know the supply chain stuff coming in from China is not happening. And so that's why they're canceling them, because otherwise they ride them out to the end of the year and it's going to kill their numbers on the books. So they're just canceling orders because it ain't coming in. That is another indicator of where we are with the supply chain stuff. Again, I said we'd be around August timeframe, we'd start to see it happen. And I think that is the case. We are starting to see it in pockets around the world, really. But in the U.S., just little pockets here and there. We get the data points from folks that work in Walmart that are talking about the fact that inventory is not showing up, et cetera. So we have validated that. Okay. Now here's another one for you. Ford expects an extra $1 billion in costs during Q3 due to inflation and supply chain issues. Yeah, we've been talking about that. That's one of the commodities or the market segments that are going completely nuts because they can't get the chips to manufacture. That's why you got the long leads and everything else. So anyway, it's another data point. Now, this one, what in the holy is going on here? Good Lord. Folks, this right here is this is just showing you where we're headed when it comes to the beast system. Pay very close attention to this because this right here has got Revelation 13 all over it. The World Economic Forum is pushing a surveillance system plan to track everyone's carbon footprint. But if you get into the meat of this, this is just kind of your big takeaway. This is crazy. It says they've published new ideas to track everyone's carbon emissions and carbon footprint with the help of advanced surveillance technology. That tells you that technology already exists. They're bolting this onto an existing program. This right here should fire a shot over the bow. If you're not paying attention, you need to be paying attention now. This right here is very, very important, especially when it comes to a biblical prophecy, because we already talked about the mass surveillance that's been going on. If they can track you down to your carbon emission footprint, that just shows you the depth and range of data they have on every one of us. Okay, so pay close attention to this. Oof, man, mercy. All right, now over here to Forward Observer early warning. We'll bump into this and see what we've got going on this morning. Again, if you guys aren't following these guys, you're missing out on a lot of data. Now, I provide stuff from them, but I will tell you it's at a very high level. It's not down into the weeds. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to read through all of their stuff. Now, we're not going to go into that level of detail, but it will kind of give you an idea of what's happening. So here's one for you, just to pay attention to this one. Georgia tosses 65,000 voter registrations. They're saying that the election officials have removed 65,000 from voter rolls after Republicans challenged their eligibility under the law. The shenanigans are beginning. Just pay attention. We don't even go into White House stuff. Let's see if we got anything else here that catches my eye. Energy. Oil prices are up as much as 2% following Russia's Putin declaration of national mobilization. We're going to talk more about that here in just a minute. Yeah, he's about to mobilize. Actually, he is mobilizing now. He's actually put a hold on a lot of folks leaving the country from the ages of 18 to 65. That's a pretty broad reach, I got to tell you. I don't know that I would get into a war footing at my age. I mean, if I had to go hot, I could, but you definitely don't want that age group, really. I mean, we have wisdom. That's about it. But when you run us up against these 25-year-olds that are high speed, we're going to slow them down quite a bit. I'm just saying. And I'm not speaking for everybody. I know there's some folks my age out there that still got it, but body takes its toll over time, right? So, all right, listen, we're going to start talking, since we were kind of segueing in from all the stuff going on relative to economy and the weather and modifications and stuff like that. We're kind of delve into that now, just to show you some of the volcanic activity going on. Now, if you've been watching Dutch Sense, you'll know that we've had a ton of earthquakes, and they've been very, very strong earthquakes in the 7 range and plus some, even off of Mexico, which is pretty unusual. As you kind of go around the world here, you can see all of these little earthquake things that have popped up. Again, I'm not the earthquake guy, Dutch Sense is, but if you're going to follow somebody and you want some really good data, even prediction data, Dutch Sense is your guy. So you can just Google him or look for him on YouTube and it'll pop right up. But nonetheless, we've been talking about this stuff going on. You got this area right here over Mexico, or off the coast of Mexico, that's been pumping out some very strong earthquakes. But the volcanic activity is interrelated to that, okay? And so if you get back over and look at last night, I popped this up about 10 o'clock last night. I was online. This is the activity that was happening around the world. There's 11 volcanoes that are spewing ash at that point last night. That is staggering. Again, 14's the high point we've had, but 11 is a high number. This is, again, related to aviation ash. You can see the ash cloud up there in the Russian side that is actually spewing pretty heavily, almost reaching all the way out to Alaskan coast. That's a big ash cloud. That's a very, very powerful eruption. Then if you look at the one that's just to the right of Australia, that's called Home Reef. That is actually a little corner of Tonga, the volcano that is an underwater, it's what they call a submarine volcano. And that is just one of the corner tips that are sticking out of the water. The actual volcanic, it's the volcano itself is all underwater. It is huge. If that thing goes, That's going to be a game changer. So, all right. Anyway, we'll continue to watch those as we get into this side of it. But you can see a lot going on. We got a Cat 4 hurricane. You know, this right here is what you love to see if you're a surfer on the East Coast, because that bad dude is not going to really impact you with winds and weather other than just pumping the waves, right? So that's like Kelly Slater's wave machine in the making right there. It's awesome to see. But nonetheless, same thing down here in Baja. These guys are probably down there in K38 are probably having a blast. Notice you got some more stuff. These waves coming off the coast of Africa. And then you got this one right here. This is the one that I think we have to really kind of keep our eye on. If it comes in, it's really deep, and it could end up coming into the Gulf of Mexico, depending on what happens. But we'll continue to watch it. Nonetheless, if we get into the TFRs, since we're already in here, just notice you got a bunch of stuff going on over New York. That's because you got flashbang up there and the UN and all the other stuff. So, all right, back away from this. Back away from that. Let's get over to the NOAA flights today. See if we've got anything going on. We do have this one. We'll look closer at it down there in Lakeland, Florida. It's been kind of hanging out quite a bit there lately. I don't see any other NOAA flights on the board yet this morning. But if we get into the landed a day ago, this is the one up over Duluth, Minnesota. We just watched it. It looked like it just went up north up to here. We've got a lot of weather in that general region, so it'll be interesting to see if they try to do anything with it, because you know their hands are all in it, right? All the time. And then you got this aspect right here. This is the one down there in Lakeland. I don't know what it's up to. It flies almost daily. It looks like it's doing a lot of touch and goes, so it could just be pilot training or something. When there's storms, that's kind of the when we start to have our eyes on it, because you do see them start to fly around inside some of the storms that come across Florida. All right. Over here to the NASA side, again, off of Senegal and Guinea, you can see we've got this DC-8 that's out here. That's going to be one of your NOAA flights as well, kind of buzzing around. And then let's get up here, see what this guy is up to. It's going to be one of your Gulfstream 3s. That's 520 NA. We've watched that one for a little while, back and forth. But notice it's just bumping out and doing some loops out here over the Virginia Beach, kind of off in Norfolk. So we'll take a closer look at that later on this afternoon. I'm curious to see if there's anything that changes in that general area. All right. Okay, over to flashbang. You can see he's headed up here, standing in front of the green tiles. The 77th session of the UN General Assembly, and can only imagine the word salad we're going to get out of this one. And then we've got him meeting with the World Economic Forum plantee. That's going to be the new Prime Minister of England, and or the UK, should I say, Liz Truss. And then, of course, he heads down here to Global Fund's 7th Replenishment Conference. That is all about people of color and disease and all the other stuff. And so there you have it. That is what he is up to today. Again, he's going to be up in New York. So speaking of people of color, let's get into this one right here. And I am hoping it comes through clearly. But this one, you just got to hear this. This is a data point. We're going to talk about some immigration stuff now, okay?
They deserve better than being left on the streets of D.C. or being left in Martha's Vineyard. They deserve a lot better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's get into some of this stuff. What's going on with our flights? I'm telling you, that lady comes out with some, you talk about word salad. It's incredible what she has to say from time to time. But nonetheless, this looks like just an array of craziness going on here. Notice the flights coming out of Miami, and a lot of them headed down south to Guatemala. And I think even this one looks to be, some of these are headed further south down into Bogota, Colombia. But we are exporting people out of our country back to their home countries. And I don't know that we're even making a dent in it, because you get over to this side, this is going to be over on Breitbart, recorded 2 million migrants apprehended at southwest border this year. I've read over the last 2 years, the number is like 4.9 million or some crazy number. Absolutely insane. Again, this is just, they just keep coming. And so pay attention to it, all right? Okay, let's get on over to, well, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the moral compass going on in the world before I get into the next segment. I think this is kind of an interesting deal. because we've got Pelosi. A couple things. One, let's talk about Pelosi here, telling Armenia that she's denouncing their illegal border attacks. And notice the smirk on this lady in the red's face right over here behind her. Absolutely amazing. Now, this guy, I don't know who this is standing behind her. He looks to be just kind of got that little red nose going. I think she was over there just trying to shore up her next vodka buy, if I had to guess. Because, with everything going on in Russia, the price of vodka. So she's probably down in Armenia trying to just get her hands on another shipment of vodka and collect that check. But nonetheless, she's out here telling people how to run their border. I mentioned this in my Monkey Minute the other day. The other thing I want to point out, too, is notice the aircraft she's on is not your normal blue and white. It's just a white tail 737 kind of nonchalantly coming in, under the radar. Definitely something to that because she likes to fly in the dignitary stuff, the very nice aircraft. So this one coming in, this is probably going to be one of those CNV Navy birds, if I had to guess. But very, very low key. All right. Now, the other thing I want to point out is this thing on her chest, just to show you. Now, the flag below it is the Armenian flag with the U.S. flag. That's just a lapel pin on there. But notice the direction of this star, upside down star. Coincidence? We always talk about the photos that are taken and the things that we see from everything from horns to halos to whatever. But that little upside down star, I think, is an interesting thing. Okay. Now, speaking of just crazy nonsense, let's get over to Lurch. This was a nice one I just picked up. It says the Biden climate envoy, John Kerry, jet sets to Africa to lecture them on being as green as possible. So, here's the thing I think is very funny when I look at these things. This right here is the meme that fits it all. Notice this baby. This is I used to use this all the time when I worked at Lockheed. But this is how you look at your coworkers when they tell you how to do your job, but they can't do their job. And I think this is probably very fitting for that situation. So, nonetheless, man, the world is on its head. That's the thing that kills you is we fly out to other countries and try and tell them how to do their stuff, and yet we can't even get it right on our end of it. Just simply amazing. So, all right, let's get into this Ukraine stuff and what's going on. Now, yesterday, there was a lot of speculation that Putin was going to come out and declare war. He did not do it at that time. I would just say that don't lose too much sleep over it. It probably will come. But, there's something to be said about slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Don't jump out there in front of the bus to declare something. Just let it happen and then talk about it, okay? And so this is, you can see it has lightened up. Normally when we get in here, there are just a sea of red strikes that the Russians have been doing along this area. Not today. It is very, very light, very quiet. I think this is the calm before the storm. We do know that he has mobilized his people and that he probably will declare war. He has not declared war, as many as, most people think that, a war is going on, but he has never really declared war against them. He was going under a different premise. He's trying to get them back into the fold and thought it would just happen. But it looks like now he's getting ready to go hot. We'll continue to watch it. It was just a matter of time. But if you look at the NATO traffic in terms of ships, just note how many are offshore sitting and how many are moving out here in the middle of, I think that's the North Sea, to the right of the UK. And then you just kind of get into it. Remember, I said, we'll know when this thing is going to go hot based on the amount of arrows versus dots. When they're dots and they're in port, they're just sitting ducks. They don't want that. What they want to do is get everything out of port and out into open water. So it looks like we are starting to see that. So continue to watch it, but we could be on the brink of something happening here. Now, there are still a lot. You can see them just kind of parked in here, but they could be getting ready to go. So we'll just continue. I haven't seen this many. I'll be honest with you. I don't think in the past when we've looked at these, we've seen this many kind of showing up on this map. This seems to be very elevated. Okay. And so, anyway, all right, we'll continue to watch this. But remember, too, this is a port where Kaliningrad, this is actually Russian controlled Kaliningrad. And so there looks to be a lot of warships sitting in that general area right off the shoreline there. Okay. More than we normally see. Like I said, those are stacked right there. You've got three or four of them right here. Okay, let's move on over to the Bit Defender. Just to see, last 10 days, we have just been getting peppered left, right, and center. So we'll continue to watch this. Again, another indicator that things are about to start popping off, because the cyber attack will be kind of a war front on the U.S. in terms of U.S. soil stuff that we'll see. You may have already noticed you've had some lags or some weird things happening with your probably your Wi-Fi or your internet connection, etc., or just the attacks coming in, period, into your spam and things like that. That's what all this is that we're looking at. But notice a lot of it is coming out of Europe and even over here into China. So this thing, when we get into the war front, it will probably be insanely hot. But again, we'll just continue to watch it. Definitely an uptick. Okay. All right. Now, this was what we were talking about yesterday. Like I said, I saw a few folks come out talking about, oh, he was getting ready to declare and nothing happened. And, then you kind of walk away with a little egg on your face, or as we call, fall on your sword. Just, this is one of those times, again, just be patient. It is going to happen. There ain't no doubt about it. Now, to what degree it happens and what the response is from NATO is the key. But we know he's going to go hot here. We've been providing the Ukrainians with a ton of military equipment, and they have been peppering him a lot more lately. And we know that it's just a matter of time before he says, that's enough. I'm going to either go super hot, which would be a nuke. I don't rule that out when it comes to him. Maybe somewhere either in Ukraine or even in Poland, he could very well do something along those lines. But I think he's definitely getting ready to pull the trigger on something, because when you start mobilizing your folks and telling them anybody from 18 to 65 don't leave the country, then that's kind of a pretty good indicator, right? And the other piece, too, is this knucklehead right here, Milley, is urging U.S. troops to be on high alert against Russia. They're expecting all kinds of stuff. Now, remember, we have, if you get over here into Poland, don't forget, let me see, that's Belarus, into Poland, right here in the center of Poland, actually a little to the right of center. We've got a whole bunch of F-22s and stuff in play. We're all over Romania. We're all over down here into Bulgaria in terms of forward operating bases. And if he's going to strike, he would probably hit those general areas. So that's why he's telling them to be on high alert. Now, while we're in here, let's just take a look at Syria too. You can see this is actually very, very active. That's something you don't want to see on any map. But this looks to be recorded 15 confirmed cases of cholera. That's a biohazard notification there. So again, we'll continue to watch it. But that border clash right there is one that is U.S. stuff right in this general area. Okay. But very, very active. Syria seems to be kind of on the uptick. All right. Back over to this side. We're talking about Milley. Now, here is one for you. The U.S. is working on an AI algorithm to predict Ukraine's ammo and weapon needs. Imagine that. Well, I will tell you, they are draining the swamp from our standpoint, taking every weapon that we have in order, that we'll probably need to defend ourselves. So this is not good. The fact that they've got an AI already set up, that means that they're using it for other things. And now this isn't something that, hey, this will come in handy 2 years from now. This is something that they need now so they can track what's going in and out. Kind of scary to think that they're losing track of all of this, okay? Now, here's one for you. A new $600 million arms package for Ukraine marks the 21st time U.S. draws from its own stockpiles. Like I said, they are taking stuff that our troops are going to need and giving it to Ukraine. That is not good. And if we get engaged into this war, it's going to be very bad for us, because we're going to be short very quickly, because this will be a bloody war for sure. Okay. Now, here's another one, just kind of one that just makes you go, all right, is this real? Okay. World is on its head. The U.S. ends reports on military costs and arms transfers. Now, I can see it from a national security perspective where you don't want to show your hand on how much equipment you're moving around the place. I get that. But the transparency side of the house is they don't want you seeing it. It's probably more designed for us having eyes on it because people are going to, I mean, as your tax dollars are going to this and other nations, people get a little bit irritated over it, right? All right. Now, here's a new one. This officer explains what the new EC-37 electronic warfare jet can do and warns that the program is underfunded. Again, that's kind of one of those things where you think about we're pumping all of this money into Ukraine and weapons, yet we're not even able to fund our own programs to defend ourselves. This aircraft is pretty wild looking. If you notice the box built out here on the side of it, the thing here on the nose cone, the color here, don't pay any attention to that. That is very common. It's just basically what they do before they put the coatings on it. More than likely, they'll paint this thing. Now, I know you see this is a artist rendition up here that it's white and all smooth. That could have actually, and more than likely, this will get some type of a coating similar to the F-35, F-22, which the coatings, that's how you make them stealth, man. It's all about the coatings, all right? But this thing, evidently, without going too deep into the article, it has the ability to just jam up everything in the area. It's an electronic warfare aircraft, and so that means it'll knock everything offline. And then it also tracks weapons, right? And so, like, if there's anything launched or anything like that, it'll actually track it. So, pretty slick aircraft. Israel already has one. They're already out there flying them. So, FYI. Okay, and then here's another one that's just keep adding salt to it, man. Eventually, it's going to come home to roost. American tanks for Ukraine are absolutely on the table. Talking about pushing the M1 Abrams into Ukraine now. Man, I'm telling you, absolutely amazing. We've already got HIMARS, as you know, and all these other different systems into play. And we're just going to now give them tanks. And, of course, this is stuff that we could use. All right. Simply amazing. That, to me, is treasonous to do this. But, you know, these people are made of Teflon. So let me button that up. But here it is. Putin calls up more troops. So he's already making the rounds. Resumes nuclear threat over Ukraine. Yeah, I'm telling you, if there was ever a spot that may go hot, this may be it right here. Because you fire that shot above the bow, and everybody and their brother is going to be stepping back going, wow, because when's the last time we saw a nuke enter a war profile, or that'd be World War II and Japan with us? Okay, so that's a game changer. All right. Okay, let's look at the NOTAMs. Like I said, I know this is going to go a little bit long. I'm going to try and get through it. We're going to look at the troop stuff here in just a minute. Let me just make sure on my board I am hitting all of the stuff that we're supposed to be hitting. Okay, yeah, we talked Lurch. Okay, across the U.S., notice this one. This is a military exercise and security warning box here. These are warning boxes. These are warning boxes all over these areas. This one's been out for quite some time. And then this one's new. I don't know what that is. Let's get out here and take a gander at it. Keep in mind, this is, I don't even know how to read that. What is U.S. controlled airspace? Yeah, I don't know. Some kind of definitely military related out here. I do find that interesting given the fact that there is a Cat 4 hurricane rolling through the area. What's the date on this? Just to go back, September 21st. So it's just today. Okay, whatever. All right, let's get over here to Europe. Now, this is a spot we got to pay very close attention to. Notice we got some stuff going on out in this general area. Again, no description, just a giant box. That's very helpful. Let's pump on this one, see if that does. Yeah, that's just for today. Again, another one looks to be military related. Along a border region. Okay. Interesting. All right. And then just a sea of stuff going on in this area. We get all the way up north. Notice this is Russia. Notice they got more stuff going on up here as well. All military related, as well as all the way down here into the Black Sea. And then we get off the coast of Israel, and we've got just a ton of boxes. Amazing. Simply amazing as the world just seems to get hotter and hotter. This is all NATO exercise stuff here, northern uh, United Kingdom. Okay. All right, let's start looking at troops now. Because of Putin's push on the troops, looks like he's getting ready to put his own draft into play. If he declares war, I would speculate to see a large increase in our troops headed over the drink. We do have one Omni on the board that came inbound from Campbell. And then let's see if it left. I see it here headed to Seattle, Tacoma, which is an indicator it's headed over towards Taiwan, Japan area. And then you've got this one that's scheduled to come inbound from Houston Bush. That's going to be an Atlas Air. Don't see it on the board over here quite yet. So we'll see where that ends up going. Over here to Ramstein, just notice you got a lot of inbound Camber, Atlas Air, quite a few flights coming inbound and then stacked right here. Notice all of these FedEx birds coming in from Dover. That's probably going to be military equipment that we're providing to Ukraine, if I had to guess. Or pay attention to that. We could be putting a bunch of equipment in play into Ramstein, which will get dispersed into Sofia and Poland, Bulgaria, Poland, Hungary, etc. Hungary, Hungary. All right, making up words. I'm sounding like Biden now with my word salad. Here we go. Camber flight outbound. That's an unknown. Another one here. Looks like that one's headed back to Baltimore, Washington. So we've got troops probably on a rotation and a third camber flight headed over here to Cairo region. And then notice the departure. This thing come in as a FedEx bird, bringing in supplies. But then notice here it turns over to a troop mover. These MD-11s, those are going to be FedEx birds moving troops to destination unknown. Pay attention to that. We get into the camber flights now. Remember I said uptick. We're expecting to see an uptick. We're already seeing it. Look at these. 5 camber flights rolling out. You got them leaving Ramstein, Sofia, that's Bulgaria, Fort Worth Alliance, this one here near Cairo, Egypt, and then Miami. It was very interesting. Don't see that one too much. That one looks like it's going to be, maybe it's headed, I don't know where that one's headed. Click on it and see if we get any detail out of it. Yeah, headed northbound. So maybe rolling out of Miami, headed up here to the DC area. We'll see. Maybe Baltimore, more than likely. Okay. All right. Omni, this has dropped off. We had one that came out of Japan, headed up here into Alaska, and that was earlier this morning. It has since fallen off. Don't see anything on the board from an Omni perspective. And then from the UK side, that has since dwindled down. We were about 2x on this. It looks like everything is coming back to the United Kingdom, but they were just moving a bunch of folks out here. Cyprus is a very big buildup, as well as down here in the Middle East. And then we have seen them headed down in Ethiopia in the last week as well. So it's crazy. The movement we've got. For the Ruskies, I had one aircraft up. This is going to be it right here. It rolled out of Sochi, went up to Moscow. And so we'll see. I would imagine Putin is probably right here in Moscow right now as well. Okay. All right. Over to the U.S. Don't do it to me, driver. Okay. I was about to start pushing my TV driver, which would have been really bad because the screen would have gone black. All right. Here we are. This is going to be C-101. This is going to be your Homeland Security Secretary headed to Hano. So folks in Hawaii, just a heads up, looks like he is headed to your area. Actually, he is there. He landed 16 hours ago. And all right. Well, listen, last thing, time to go, Joe. It's I think your time here as POTUS has just, you've wrecked enough. So this is going to be my new slogan right here. Time to go, Joe. So let's just let it go. All right. That's going to be it for today. Listen, I'll be back on Friday with our live. God knows what the world is going to look like then. Things have been very, very crazy today, and I am seeing a significant uptick. Let's see what Putin does in Ukraine. If he goes hot, well, let's watch and see what happens with NATO, because that's going to be your big indicator on what the U.S. does and its response to it. We could be going to war here pretty soon here, folks. So, all right, that's it. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. We'll see you on the other side. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.